Good afternoon. Well, no, good morning. It's still good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn with Lake County Public School. With me today, I have Damaris. Damaris, welcome.
Thank you, Soren. And so, good morning, everyone. My name is Damaris Tehran, and I am a parent liaison with Lake County Schools. I do work with families in order to help them understand their rights and procedural safeguards. I do help explain the IEP process. I help coordinate meetings, share community resources, and I do assist with communication between families and school teams in order to guide families through IEP meetings, referrals, evaluations. And my role is to provide information, help with advocacy, and ensure that our students with disabilities receive appropriate services and that the families feel like they're being supported and well informed throughout the process.
Thank you so much, Damaris, for the introduction. We are going to go started and we are going to be talking about beginning the journey. I'm going to go and share my screen here. Let me go into full screen. Okay, there we go. All right, so we are going to talking about beginning the journey, which means that for some of us that have a child with a disability from and was identified at birth or before the age of 3 that went through the early intervention process, there is a moment where they are going to be moving into the school system if they're still eligible. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Um, my name is Soren Richardson. I am the Assistant Director of Programs here at the Family Network on Disabilities. I'm also the co-director of one of the Parent Training Information Center under the umbrella of FND. Um, but of all the hats that I wear, my most important one is mom. I am mom of a 10-year-old that happens to have Down syndrome, and he is the reason that I'm doing this work and share my lived experience and knowledge with families that are navigating special education here in Florida. Before we get started, I am going to tell you a little bit about our organization in case you are not familiar with us. We are the a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we get our grants through the U.S. Department of Education, specifically under OSEP, which is the Office of Special Education Programs. We are written within IDEA. IDEA is the Individuals Disabilities Education Act, and this is a federal law that protects children with disabilities in public school. So one of the provisions of IDEA is to fund parent centers like ours to empower parents on IDEA, make sure they know their rights, and all the provisions that are in IDEA. This grant makes that our services are free. We support families that have children with disabilities or are at risk from birth up to age 26. So, like I just mentioned, we are the PTI. The acronym stands for Parent Training Information Center. And as you may know, in special education, we have an acronym for every single thing. Every single state in the US has an organization like ours. We are also the statewide family to family health information center. The acronym is that for that is F2F, and they do similar work as we do, only they focus on mental health and medical complex needs. We are family driven. What does this mean? This means that in 1985, 40 years ago, there were a group of parents that have children with disabilities that came together for mutual support and understanding in somebody's living room. Now, 40 years later, we are doing the same work but on much larger scale. We support the whole state of Florida today. We are the majority of our board members, management team, leadership, and our staff, we are parents of a child with a disability or a self advocate themselves. So we share that lived experience with our families. What we do and what we do not do. We are not attorneys, even though we talk a lot about IDEA. We do not practice law. We are not doctors or mental health professionals. We give resources, information that are coming from a vetted source. We support you and your family navigate special education. We provide training like these ones today, and these are all research-based training. And we also collaborate with school districts, with Fiddlers, Fin, Project 10, CART, you name it, any agency and organization out there that support the same families we do. We always are looking for ways to collaborate in the field. Now let's jump into the topic of today. So we want to talk about eligibility and what happened after. So once your child is identified with a disability under the age of 3, so in my own case, my son, we had a prenatal diagnosis. So at birth, we knew he was going to have a disability. We went through early steps. If your child is 1 years old, 2 years old, and you suspect a delay or a disability, you can reach out to early steps and you can ask for a referral. Anybody can do this, your doctor, yourself as a parent, your school that your child is at. So once you are enrolled in early steps program, so you go through an eligibility process evaluation. Is the child identified with a disability or a developmental delay and qualifies for services under early intervention? They're going to be rolling into the program. Now, once the child is about to turn 3 years old, most around 2.5 years old, there is going to be a transition process from early steps to the school system. And that's what we're talking about today. We want to be providing you with information in case your child is not found eligible for the school district pre-K program. But also we want to walk you through the process if your child is found eligible for these services. Okay. I wanted to mention also that if your child is not qualified for services under the school district of the pre-K, they may still be eligible for Head Start. And this is a program under APD, which is the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. They also they have early care, they have educational programs, or there are also other community-based services. So we always encourage families to explore any other alternatives that may help your child's development. Okay, so if your child is found eligible for Part C is early intervention. The parts are under IDEA, and Part B refers to public school. So if they are in Part C receiving services, they're going to be moving to Part B. And Part B is pre-K, how we call it, pre-kindergarten programs, and it's specifically for children with disability. When there's going to be a meeting, there's going to be evaluations done before the transition happens. And if early step, the program and the school district, they consider that the child is eligible for special education, you as the parent, you are going to sign consent to refer the child to the local public school district for evaluation. And then when all this is completed, and if your child qualifies, he or she is going to be transitioning to the pre-K program for children with disabilities within the public school. And your child can start this program attending school the same day that they turn 3 years old. So you don't have to wait for August for the new school year. They can enroll right there when they turn three. One of the most important provision under this part is parent involvement. And it is your right as the parent to be involved along the way, to be part of the team, and to make decisions on the services that your child will be receiving in collaboration with the school IEP team. We also want to mention that you or would want to be familiar with the procedure safeguard, so you are aware what your rights and responsibilities are under Part B of IDEA. Then let's say your child is found eligible, you went through the evaluation process at the school district, and the team came together and they identified based on the data of the evaluation that your child is eligible for the pre-kindergarten. And then you have to make this change. Um, it can be very emotional. It can be very intimidating to send your little tiny 3-year-old to school. For myself, it was nerve-wracking. I was my son at the time was very tiny. He was not potty trained yet. He had feeding issues, and I was thinking, is he going to be able to to function for 4 hours in school? Um, why I'm sharing these areas of concern for me is because these are natural. It is natural. It's a natural part of the process. But it's important to remember that special education services are designed to provide the necessary support for children, for them to learn, for them to grow and thrive in a structured environment. I have to say that the pre-K teachers that I have encountered along the way, they are they're champions. They are the best. This is what they want to do, and they are very good at supporting our students, but also supporting us, the parents that are afraid of letting their little 3-year-old go to school. This new stage is an important stage in your child's development, and both your child and yourself as the parent is going to grow and adapt to the situation. You're going to be doing this together. So the process of moving out of early step to the public school is starts around not more than 9 months, but also not less than 90 days. So that's usually the sweet spot is around 6 months before the child turn 3 years old. At that moment, during this time, local early steps will notify the child's local school district for child find purposes, and they will inform the Department of Education that this child may be eligible for preschool services under the pre-kindergarten program for children with disabilities. And this is how the process is started. However, the pre-kindergarten program, it's a voluntary program. So the parent has the right to accept or decline services. So if the parents choose to opt out, so they say, I want to skip the year, I don't want to send my child to school yet, you have the right. And what you see here on the screen, this is the opt out form that you will fill out to inform your service coordinator of your decision. And once this form is completed, it will be sent to the school district and the Florida Department of Education to inform them about your decision. In Florida, for parents who decline pre-K ESC services, they have the option to enroll their child in a private pre-K if they want. But also, we have the Family Empowerment Scholarship, previously known as the Gardner Scholarship, that is specifically for students with unique abilities. And this scholarship can be used to cover educational expenses for those students that are eligible. So what happens next, right? So let's keep digging deeper and deeper in the layers. So if you decide to move forward with the eligibility process and enroll your child in ESC services in your public schools, there are going to be two separate meetings. There are some districts that do one meeting that does everything in one day. So you can discuss this when they contact you to set up this meeting. So the first part of it is the evaluation. So this is where they will assess your child's development and educational needs. The parents also, there is a section for parents where they can share their own concerns and share the strengths of their children. And based on all this data, and this is the second meeting, or if it's on the same day, the second part of the meeting is where they will have the eligibility determination meeting. So they are going to be reviewing as a team together the evaluation results, and then determine if your child qualifies for services. Once that has been determined that the child is eligible for ESC services, ESC is how we call it in Florida, for services for children that have an IEP. And the team is going to develop an IEP in that moment. So before we jump into what is an IEP, I would like to go over this slide a little bit more so you can understand what the difference is. So when a child is in early intervention, there is an IFSP in place, Individual Family Support Plan. And that one is going to be closed, and then an IEP is going to be opened. The IFSP is where the goals for the child and the family is documented and how it's going to be done, what are we working on, what are the needs of the child. And an IEP starts from age 3 to 21. So that is the range when a child will be in public school. An IFSP is focused on the family. So everybody in the family, while an IEP is only focused on the student, only the needs of the student. In the public school, we're talking about least restrictive environment. That's where the services and special education is being provided to the student. While at in early intervention, we talk about natural environment. So the services are provided in natural environment, and that can be at home, that can be at daycare, at grandma's house, whatever is natural environment for the student. We have within the public school, within IEP, the ESC teacher will be the primary support. The IEP is reviewed yearly, while the IFSP is reviewed every 6 months. Decisions are the same. So as you can see on the IFSP and the IEP, it's a team-based IFSP. They are the ones that making decision, and the same goes for the IEP. And the parent is part of that team as a 50% member. Now, this is very important. The second one is in an IFSP, we look at developmental goals. In an IEP, we look at academic goals. So we are going to be making a difference on an IEP between medical diagnosis and educational diagnosis. So how is the student's disability affecting their education? So it's very, very different than in early intervention. And like we mentioned at the beginning, IFSP, early intervention, is part C, and IEP, this is public school, is part B. Let's look into the IEP. So what is the purpose of the IEP? So the IEP, you can see it as a blueprint of your child's education. So based on the evaluations and the results, the data will give us a baseline of where the child is at. And what are the areas of need that need to be that needs a goal so we can improve them. And based on those goals, we're going to see what services do we need so those goals can be met. And these are all the details, where there's more, but the main details that are outlined in an IEP. They're also going to be putting on the IEP what's going to be the frequency and duration of the services, where are these services going to be provided, how much time is the student receiving an ESC services, how much time also are they spending with their peers that do not have a disability, and who is going to be responsible for delivering the services. We are also going to be seeing how are the goals being measured, how are these goals and in what time frame. So an IEP is a document that is very much very detailed. Parents, like I mentioned it a couple of times, and you're gonna hear me say it a couple of times more. And I am positive when you talk to Damaris, she's gonna say the same thing. And we all encourage parent participation, and so does IDEA. Parents are equal members of the IEP team. It doesn't matter if you're one or you're two, you're three or four. It doesn't matter. You are 50% of the team. And you play a crucial role in developing your child's IEP. You are your child's first teacher. You know your child's best. You know what strategies works for your child. In my case, we were getting early intervention services at home. So I was very involved in those services, and I was able to provide my IEP team with information and strategies that were very, very crucial in his success. Also, parents do have the right to disagreement. Disagreement is a natural process of life. We all disagree with each other at some point. So be sure for you to document your concerns in the meeting notice, or beforehand, you can write your parent concern, your parent input, and share that with your IEP team. We follow here at FND the cadre dispute resolution continuum. We are also all trained facilitators in IEP meetings, even though we don't attend IEP meeting, but we are familiar with the process. We always suggest parents to resolve conflict at the lowest level possible. What does that mean? That means, oh, your first line of communication is your teacher. That's where you start. If you have concerns, if you have anything, you go to your teacher. And if that's not being resolved, then you go to your staffing specialist. In Lake County, you can go to the parent liaison like Damaris. Then you can go to the principal. So there is this hierarchy of line of communication that we always follow. And also, you can request for clarification, changes, and additional discussions before you sign the IEP. Now, also, parents, like I mentioned earlier, you provide unique information because you know your child's best, especially when they're 3 years old and they have been home with you, or they have been at a daycare, but you are the main caregiver. You know more about your child. So your input is extremely important in creating meaningful goals and support strategies for your child's education. And your consent is necessary. So you will be asked to sign documents related to your child's education, such as placement decisions. So that means where your child will be attending school. Before you sign, make sure that the school explain to you in detail the process and what the impact will be on your child's education. So these are all part of being an active participant. Okay, so you have received an IEP. You went through the process, you got an IEP. What are you going to do in the meantime, right? Between then and your child turning 3 to go to school. Um, so there's a couple of things I'm going to share what I did. So it just happened that my child is a summer baby. So he ended up starting pre-K when after the summer. But in the summer before that, of course, I think it was in February, we had his transition meeting and his IEP in place. So we started by looking at what can we do. So structure. So we started with a bedtime routine, and there were specific things that we're doing. Well, we were doing it already, but we were reinforcing it more than before. What we did though during the summer is we developed a morning routine. We were helping him to be more independent. So, in getting dressed, brushing his teeth, and he was not potty trained yet. So, that's one of the goals we added to his IEP. but we were enforcing going to the bathroom. We were packing his backpack and we would take them out and for having lunch, and we were just at home, but it was kind of like preparing him for eating out of a lunchbox, having a backpack. And we also did a drive-by to the school. So he could see this is going to be your new school. We're going to be dropping you off. I do have to say that I had more of a hard time for him to go into school than he did. He just walked off first day of school like it was the most normal thing ever. Do you want to share something with us, Damaris?
Just when you were talking about the IEP, I just wanted to add that with throughout that process, it's just going to ensure that the student services are tailored to meet their individual needs. You've touched on a lot of things that we had talked in the first part of this training. But I did want to add that part of developing that IEP as a team is to ensure that we're adding the services, the accommodations, and supports needed for that child to be successful in the educational setting. And parents are an integral part of that IEP team. So I always encourage parents to be very involved during their child's IEP meetings.
For sure. Thank you for adding that, Damaris. And it's called an individualized education plan. So it is supposed to be individualized for every single student. Thank you, Damaris.
Correct. Perfect.
So let's get back after you're doing all your routine, your child is starting school. Let's get back to the IEP. All right. So the IEP is not a a document that's it, that's the end. It's a living document that can be adjusted and has to be reviewed at least once a year. So don't stress if afterwards you're like, oh my goodness, this doesn't look good. You can always call for an IEP meeting whenever you want. It doesn't have to be once a year. I do not recommend monthly IEP meetings, though. They can be very intense. What I'm trying to say is that if you have concern that you want to address to your with your IEP team, you have the right to do that, as does the school has the right to call for an IEP meeting. It takes time to, and it's a teamwork effort. It's a moment in time where this IEP is being developed. They're using data, they're using input, parent input, teacher input. So they're using all that to create the IEP. So once a year, usually it's being reviewed. We're going to look at the goals. Have they been met? Or maybe why have they not been met? Okay, so we're going to be reviewing that. Another effective way to keep track of the IEP, if the IEP is being implemented with fidelity, if the IEP is suitable for the student, is attending the parent-teacher conferences. These are usually every quarter, and you can look at the progress your child is doing. So you're gonna get a progress report coming home, and it's based on the goals that are on the IEP, and the teachers are going to be giving you an update. So I personally, I like to see the data, and you absolutely have the right to request for the data. The teacher, there is a pre-K checklist where they will follow, and they keep on data on the moments that they are collecting data on a specific goal. That way, from the beginning, you can start understanding your data. You can start looking, you can train your mind on how to look at it, how to get trends. Is your child regressing? Why is your child regressing? Usually we see that after a break, winter break or something like that. So this is going to help you and the teacher to work together collaboratively, having open line of communication to really focus and look more in depth during the year at your child's process, and this can alleviate some of the stress in an annual IEP meeting.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
So, what I encourage parents to do prior to attending an IEP meeting is reviewing the materials that are going to be presented before that meeting. So, for example, if it's just an annual review meeting, they can request a draft copy of that IEP so they can review it. And any questions that they have or concerns, they can write it down and come prepared to the meeting to address it. And it helps with the transition of the meeting as well. If it's a meeting that we're going to present evaluation reports, they have a right to request a copy of those reports prior to the meetings. Well, once again, to review the reports, and they can jot down any questions and or concerns they have. I also encourage them to write down any questions or concerns that they have, to share their child's strengths and what are their needs, because let's face it, no one knows that child like the parent. And so there's a lot of information that parents share with school teams that's going to help the school teams also tailor those IEPs to meet the students' individual needs. And just ensuring that they're requesting that data, sort of what you were talking about, and monitoring the goals, and also asking for examples of student work. Like, I feel like the more the parents are involved, actively involved, and wanting the information and clarification on things they may not understand, it just helps the team collaborate back and forth in order to ensure that we're all meeting the needs of that individual student, because that is the common goal, is to ensure that we are coming up with the necessary supports to help the students be successful in an educational environment.
Absolutely. And to add to that, Damaris, research shows that students have more success in school when parents are involved in their
Yes.
educational process. And this is no matter whether your child has a disability or not. That is researched, proved. Also, I wanted to share with like what Damaris said, is sharing with your team. Share everything with your team. Your team does not know what happens at home. So as you share more information with them, the better it will be, so they are able to see a complete picture. And writing it down, I do understand that the first couple of IEP meetings can be intimidating. I had no idea what I was doing the first two IEP meetings. I
Mhm.
was just kind of like, okay, this is it, like I felt very nervous. But you get used to it. And it always is nerve-wracking. But one of the things that has helped me during IEP meetings is to share my vision for my son with my team. Um, and I would tell them what I want for him and how important the IEP meeting is. But it's as important as the previous one and the one to come, because I see every IEP meeting as a stepping stone to the goal for my son. And the goal for him is to be a part of community, his community, integral part of it. I want him to have a career of his choosing. I want him to be paying his taxes and live and work in his neighborhood, in his community. And I want him to be as independent as possible. And that could mean different for every person, but that is my goal for him. And that is also what IDEA says. IDEA's cornerstones is preparing students for secondary education, post-secondary education, independent living, and employment. So putting all that together in the IEP, and sharing my vision for him helps everybody also understand where I'm coming from and where I want to go. So that's something I started very early on, and I always find that the team appreciates that, and I also share what he does in his free time, how busy he is and what he's doing. So make it personal and share with them as much as possible. All right, so we mentioned this, and this is our last slide. And Damaris mentioned this as well. So this is also part of her job is the procedure safeguard. Procedural safeguard are mechanism that I build in within IDEA to help parents, but also the school district navigate dispute and solve dispute. I'm looking for a different word, but it comes down to the same thing. um, we have a couple of mechanism in it. So you have the right as a parent to access the educational records. So you can go at the school, you send in a request so they can prepare the students' records, take it out for you to be able to review it. You also have the right for a independent education evaluation. What does this mean? So let's say that the school district conducted an evaluation on your child, and let's say um, let's say a speech that evaluation. However, you are not in agreement with the results. You do not see your child in the results. And after discussing the results with the IEP team, with the person that conducted that evaluation, you do have the right under IDEA to request an IEE, and that means that you get to choose the provider, and the costs are going to be for the school district. We talked about parent participation, very, very important. And we also have the prior written notice. That is the PWN. What does this mean? This means that the school PWN is also applicable for early steps. They have to provide you with a prior written notice whenever a change is being proposed, or this could be they proposing to increase or initiate services, or they want to they refuse or they want to decrease services. It has to do with evaluation, whether they're proposing or refusing, placement also, or services. On this notice, they have to include the action that they're proposing or refusing, what's the reason behind their decision. They have to provide the procedure safeguard under early steps, if this is coming from early steps, and also the complaint procedure and timeline has to be in here. Then this also, if English is not your first language, and you need to receive these services, these notifications in your native language so you can better understand. I have to say, special education does not translate exactly the same in any language. So you do have the right to request these notifications in your native language. Um, Also the oh my goodness, I spoke a lot.
Confidentiality.
Yes, thank you, Damaris. Of your information, of course, this is very important. We don't want any information out there. There's the FERPA law under the public school. Early steps is bound by HIPAA privacy. So this is very important. Then we want to talk real quick about informed consent. So when parents are providing consent, so they have to give written consent for services, for special education, placement in early intervention. They need to sign for services as well. You want to be informed. So you want to have all the information necessary in your preferred, in your native language and in your preferred communication method. So you can make an informed decision on this. And then we have the dispute resolution mechanism, which is mediation, due process mediation, and state complaint. So when we're talking about these three, if that's the case, there's always there's this in due process this term called stay put rights. This is they gonna do an investigation, and while that is happening, the student is going to stay where he or she is till there is an agreement that has been made. Mediation, so due process is like a hearing where you can state your concern, and so will the agency, where does your local early steps or the public school. We have mediation that is free. Both party needs to consent. It's voluntary, and it does not affect your right to a due process hearing. Mediation discussions are always confidential, and it cannot be used in legal proceedings. So that is something to keep in mind. And mediation is scheduled within 21 days of a signed request, and it's going to be held in a convenient location. And then when agreements are being reached, this will be documenting in writing and signed by all parties. Then we have the complaint procedure. We have the state complaint. You do have the right under your procedure safeguard to file a state complaint. This is written, has to be signed, and it really has to contain detailed information about this a statement of the violation, facts that support the complaint, and then your child's information and the provider's names. These safeguards ensure that parents are fully informed and that they have a voice in their child's early intervention services and in resolving this dispute if that is part of the case. That brings us at the end of this presentation. And it is an emotional process, aging out of early steps, going to the public school. Go ahead, Damaris.
What I just wanted to add is for parents that I highly encourage them to please read their procedural safeguards, because that's really going to help explain what their legal rights are as a parent for a student with a disability. It's going to help explain how the school must involve the parents in the decision, how the parents can get information, how to request meetings, or even when there is a disagreement, and what are the steps for due process if any concerns arise. It really gives the parents a lot of information of what their rights are and how to advocate for their students with disabilities. So I highly encourage parents to please read the procedural safeguards during your free time because it's a wealth of knowledge information that's going to benefit parents of our students with disabilities.
Absolutely. And I'm going to share in a little bit the website because those this procedure safeguard are not my favorite pastime reading. They are so dry. So I'm gonna give them a tip in a little bit. So
Yes.
just to wrap up, these are all the programs that we operate under the umbrella of F&D, POPN, PSN, and PEN. Those are the three PTIs that we have. PEN is the PTI that supports Lake County. Then we have Family Star, which is the F2F program. And this brings you to all our resources. And we also have a section in Spanish, all our social media. And I want to share something. Hang on, let me go back on here. Oh, I'm going to share the same thing. Nope, nope. Let me see where it went. I have a website. I think I closed it. Wait. I want to share this more flyer that we have here. Um, yes, let me put it on here. I'm sorry, I have multiple screens going on here. Okay, let me share my screen here. Here it is. All right, so on this more flyer, we're going to be putting this recording today on here. So if you go down here, you're going to find resources that belongs to early steps and transitioning out of early steps. It gives you resources, and these are resources that are from Lake County Public School. Will take you on to their ESC website. And here, all right, so these will actually take you to our website. I'm going to click on this one. And on here, if you go, oops, let me put it here, special education downloadables. This is a little bit like Pinterest style. It goes by topic. Now let's go to procedure safeguard. If you click on here, it will take it in one pagers. So what we did, and you can see there is a number. So here's one. We took this information of the procedure safeguard and dissected in little sections in seventh grade reading level. So it's more digestible than this whole document. On here, you're going to find the resource where the source of this information. So it will never be just like, oh, we took this off the internet. And they can go through all these one pagers and get information that they need. Um, so that brings us to the end of today's presentation. Damaris, thank you so much for being here with me today and for your knowledge and experience and supporting our families in Lake County. We are going to be back on January 8th. We're going to have another workshop, and we are going to be talking about moving to kindergarten. So the after this, once you get into public schools and you're done with pre-K, what is going to happen after that?
Well, thank you, Soren. And I enjoyed collaborating with you today. It was a very informational session, and I truly enjoyed it. And I do look forward to our next training because that is a very important topic. I've attended a lot of meetings where students are transitioning from pre-K ESE to kindergarten, and that is a very it's just a big transition for parents to have to go through that process. And so the more information we can provide them and resources is going to better support them to help their child moving forward. So thank you once again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Damaris. Have a great day, rest of your day. Happy Thanksgiving, happy
Likewise.
holidays, and we will see each other in the new year.
All right. Have a great one.
You
Thank
too.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.